Breaker 1-9, this is the Unesh value trade. Looks like we've got ourselves a big old load of value headed your way. So, light 'em up, because this big rig is pumping and rolling just fine. Welcome to the Unesh value train. Hope you're excited. As far as opening hand goes, we've got double island, counterspell. Yeah, let's actually, we get to scry through. Yeah, let's keep on this one, because we can actually scry through your Sphinx to the foresight. And I think that'll work out pretty well. But yes, welcome to the Unesh value train. Hope you're excited. Let's go ahead and click on Sphinx. Click OK. That way we can scurry for 3. Get the get the insanity going times 3. That's the best way to go for it. Stroke of Genius. Actually, that kind of works out pretty well. So let's go this. Let's go for Stroke of Genius on top. We'll put Island on top. Put Lonely Sandbar on top. And then that way we can draw into that Lonely Sandbar next turn, get that down, and then be good to go. So let's go to lead off with Island, and then anything else. We're going to go and pass the turn over to our opponent. We're playing Unesh, the official driver of the value trade into outer space, where, if you're not familiar with this deck, you are encouraged to follow your dreams. We're playing Unesh. Sphinx spells you cast cost 2 less to cast. Then, whenever Unesh or another Sphinx enters the battlefield under your control, reveal the top 4 cards of your library, fact or fiction. 1 pile goes into your hand, 1 pile goes into your graveyard. Just because we're going to go for Monolith, I'm just going to go for Lonely Sandbar. If our opponent has something, we could leave up Counterspell, but since we do have Stubborn Denial, we can probably catch something for 1 if need be. If not, then I kind of like going for Monolith and then, maybe getting a little bit of extra card draw with Stroke of Genius. Playing against Ramos, Dragon Engine, flying. Whenever you cast a spell, put a +1 counter on Ramos for each of that spell's colors, then remove 5 +1 counters from Ramos, add double Wooburg to your mana pool, activate this ability only once each turn. So let's go and lead off with the Island. And we'll go for Monolith. That's going to be 1, 2, 3. I'm pretty okay with just basically just going for a Stroke of Genius 4. That's going to be 1, 2, 3. We can go for 4. Yeah, I think that sounds like a pretty good option. So, we did cover both commanders. Let's give a quick shout out to our sponsors, MTGOTraders. If you need to build your very own Unesh value train, they have a ton of Sphinxes for you to test out and fly into outer space. So, head over to MTGOTraders. Let's get that island down. Anything else going past the turn? Yeah, I kind of like going for Stroke of Genius. And also, I got a merch booth set up. So if you check out my merch booth, head over to eatgaming.com, get yourself a playmat or a t-shirt. Use coupon code JOLT, or actually type in JOLT539 under their website to see some of my designs. And last but not least, I started a Patreon. So if you'd like to contribute to my Patreon, there's a link down in the description below. Get your name at the beginning and ending of the credits. And if you can't, hey, no problem. Just tell somebody about the channel. I would certainly appreciate that. So at this point, we can go for Unesh. Let's kind of just go for a little counter magic test. Let's just go for a Stroke of Genius. That's going to be 1, 2, 3. And then, yeah, I kind of like this. This is a great way for us to test any sort of counter magic. So we're going to go Stroke of Genius for 4. And that's going to be 4 card draw. If our opponent has some counter magic, they definitely want to take care of this. And this will kind of clear the way for Unesh. We've got time to get Unesh. We can untap Monolith back again. And, being able to eat a counterspell off the spell is a wonderful thing for us. All right, so they're going to go for Charm. Yeah, I'll definitely take that. So, okay, that was a good trade on that. And then Arcane Denial. So at this point, we have Phyrexian Metamorph. We can actually get down for 3. If we end up going Sphinx. Now, if we end up basically just getting down anything this turn, that's going to cut us off Counterspell, Arcane, and Stubborn Denial. So I think at this, but we need to get down Unesh at some point. So let's go for this. Let's go Phyrexian Metamorph. We're going to pay our live total. It's going to go 1, 2, 3. We're going to have Phyrexian Metamorph enters a copy of Monolith. That way we can just get a little bit ahead on mana. There we go. And then anything else, we're going to go and pass the turn. That still keeps us open as far as Arcane Denial and Stubborn Denial if we want to kind of counter something from our opponent. And then we'll work on getting down Unesh. One of the best things about Unesh is that you can get down Sphinx of the Foresight for 2 blue mana off of a fact or fiction. That's one of the best things out there. But that was, oh yeah, Thoughta. Yeah, man, we just don't want to get picked apart by Thoughta this game, I don't think. I hate to tap down Monolith and lose that extra mana, though. Because they're definitely going to have that Island Walk. That's going to give us some extra card draw, too. Yeah, I think we let that go through. We can, if they're going to kind of go for Thoughta, because, yeah, we need to get Unesh down. We're definitely fine with that. Then also, that's officially free time. We can have some fun now. We covered all our sponsors. Quick shout out to Rory. They wanted a birthday deck, and said Unesh would be an awesome thing. So happy birthday to Rory. And hopefully you enjoy your time on the Unesh value train. We've got a party set up at the back of the value train. So if you want to go get some pizza and some Coke or some soda with Rory, it is at the back of the train. So that way everybody can have some fun. But yeah, let's go for Unesh. I think that'll be pretty good. So this could be 1, 2, 3 off of Monolith. And then 1, 2, 3. The only downside is maybe if we get lucky, we hit a land off this Unesh value pile that allows us to go for Sphinx of the Foresight. So hopefully that'll be kind of what our deciding factor might be. And then we've got a beautiful pile. We've got Cyclonic Rift, which you definitely want to split up. Now, if I'm our opponent, they've only got 4 lands at this point right now. We're definitely ahead on resources. I would kind of be worried about that Wasteland. If it's me, I would probably split up Wasteland. Yeah, I was about to say, I'd probably split up. And we're definitely going to take pile 2 because we want that blue source. Cyclonic Rift is a great thing to have. And while we're at, well, you know what? We've got a ton of mana. We can kind of slow roll this. I kind of like leaving up Counterspell on this. So we could jam a Sphinx of Foresight, but we have no instant speed Counterspell, something like Force of Will. So let's just go and pass the turn. There's just sometimes where, opponent's got 6 cards in the hand, we've got 6 cards, but we can generate card value a lot quicker than our opponent. So at this point, I just kind of like leaving up Counterspell until we can get these monoliths untapped. They do get to kind of start to pick apart some of our artifacts. We're looking at Mana Vault, Soul Ring, Mana Crypt. So that's stuff they can certainly steal with Thada. But with Cyclonic Rift, we can actually bounce it back to our hand and kind of negate that for a turn. So that does allow them to kind of tap out for Ramos, but that'll be us, maybe going for Counterspell or something like that. So we can kind of play around the Thada acquisitions, or if we just end up going for an overloaded Cyclonic Rift, that'll send everything back to our hand. We can just recast these things. That'll help us get down a few more Sphinxes on the battlefield. Now, as far as I can't remember the last time that we did the Unesh value train. It's been a minute, but as far as new additions to the deck, a Tempsis is definitely in the deck. It's really nice to have a Tempsis in here. Tempsis is one of those cards that as soon as it was spoiled, I was really excited to build it, but at the same time, we could actually stubborn denial that. No, I think we're okay with that. And if they want to tap out for Ramos, that'll make this counterspell a lot easier. But yeah, when Tempsis was spoiled, I was like, yes, can't wait to build it. But that is going to be the official, whatever the conductor would be of a train. I mean, we've got the conductor. That's obviously Unesh, but whoever would be the backup driver, Tempsis is definitely the backup driver for this Unesh deck. It's just, if you get a lot of these Sphinx Factor Fiction piles going. Okay, so I think Cyclonic Rift. Yeah, let's just cast it on Mana Crypt. I kind of like that, because that's going to send us back to the hand. That's going to allow us to reset with Unesh. They're going to destroy Unesh and get rid of Thada, so we'll basically be okay on this interaction. So that'll send Mana Crypt back to the hand, and that'll allow us to kind of rebuild from the Sport State. Hopefully our opponent runs into some lands. It's not fun to be on turn 6 and only have 4 lands. Well, there they go. They get the land drop for the turn. So, and they do end up shocking that Watery Grave in. So we'll see what this last 2 mana is. And looks like it's going to be 2. Uazama's Jitte. Okay. So they at least kind of got some sort of counter magic out of our hand with that Cyclonic Rift. But I'm okay with grabbing this Mana Crypt. So let's go and go for Mana Crypt. We'll cast that spell. And I think at this point, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We've got more than enough to untap these monoliths. So let's just go and pass the turn. That way we can set up an Unesh value train for next turn. Because then we've got double Sphinxes for 2 blue mana. So we're going to go for that. So anything else, we're going to go and pass the turn over to our opponent. But yeah, we added a Tempest to the deck. We do have Force of Negation in here, which is the other, the brand new Modern Horizons kind of force spell, whatever you want to call it. But outside of that, hadn't really made too many changes to the deck. I'm in the process of, I'm hitting a lot new commanders when they come out. I'm trying to hit them for about 2 weeks. When Modern Horizon releases, I want to kind of have some really heavy Modern Horizon focused releases for the week. Captain Sisse, yeah, I don't think we want that to stick around. So let's go for just straight up counter spell. Because that's one of those that, yeah, if they have a tutor source for whatever sort of legendary package they're going for, and plus we can stop the Jitte triggers, which is going to be a good thing. But yeah, like when Modern Horizon releases, I try to hit those commanders for about 2 weeks, because what would happen in the past is I would just do these, let's go and untap Monolith. It's going to be 1, 2, 3. There we go. And then anything else, yeah, that'll be it. Now I'll kind of highlight what we're talking about here in a second. So let's go and choose tails on this one. Lost the flip. We are 0 from 1 of those Mana Crypt triggers. And then we run into Tolaria West. So we're looking at Unesh is going to be 8 total mana.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I still think at this point I kind of like leaving up Arcane and Stubborn Denial on this. So let's just go ahead and get down to Teleria West. We'll have that come into play. We could transmute it for something like 0, but that would just be like Ancient Tomb or something. So we'll just go and have that come into play tapped. And um, once we get down Monolith, that'll really allow us to kind of get down Unesh very cheaply, because the bottleneck for our turn in really kind of setting ourselves apart from our opponent is having access to that double blue mana. And so if we can use a lot of the monoliths and the mana crypts to set up a really good value turn, that's kind of what we want to go for. But yeah, whenever a new commander would release, there'd be some times where I would just I would do like Lazov. I only did like 1 or 2 gameplay videos with it. And do we want an Arcane Denial on this one? Yeah, I think so. I think that's going to really chew up our opponent's turn. And that still gives us enough mana to untap Monolith and then kind of rebound next turn with the Unesh Vow. Yeah, that'll be good. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, untap Monolith. Long story short, I would only do like a 1 commander video, and then it'd be like the next 3 or 4 weeks before I hit that commander again. And so I'm trying to get used to these new commanders. That way I can bring them into my rotation. Then at the same time, kind of rework some of my older decks. Like I spent like 4 hours on Saturday kind of rebuilding some decks because, I've been doing my channel for like 3 years now. And so I'm working, imagine you as a Magic player. Let's choose tails on this one. We lost a flip. We're 0 for 2 on those mana crypt triggers. But imagine yourself as a Magic player. Your deck building from 3 years ago is definitely a lot different from what it is now. And so when I'd go to record some of these older decks, I'd have these builds that were just really clunky. The mana base was kind of funky. And so I'm in the process of, high tide. Okay. The Unesh value train has turned on the fasten your seatbelt sign because it's going to get a little bit rocky with some wonderful value. So yeah, make sure you fasten those seatbelts. So it is officially value train time. That's going to be... Actually, let's just go for it. Let's just go for a straight up high tide. Our opponent's completely tapped out. And this is going to be a really, really good showing. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's get old Unesh down onto the battlefield. We're going to get the Factor Fiction, and we'll see if we can't get our opponent to go for Uncle this turn. And we're actually going to just take pile 1 because we didn't make the land drop for the turn. Yeah, I like that. So let's go ahead and go. We could have gone for Swans. Actually, I didn't realize we had made the land drop, so sorry about that. Let's go for Sphinx of Foresight. And look at this. We're just being able to tap 1 blue mana to get these Sphinxes down. This is some good. Time Twister to really set this whole thing off. All right. So one of the things about the value train is sometimes you get so many Factor Fiction piles that eventually your opponent just scoops because it's pretty rough. So we're gonna grab Time Twister. I think we're gonna go for Rescuer Sphinx. That's gonna be 1, 2 blue mana. And the game isn't over yet, but once you just generate so much value. And I guess we just return Sphinx of the Foresight? Actually, we could have added a little bit extra mana with Mana Crypt, but we can always recast it. You know what, let's just click no. We're going to have these, we need to get some sort of threat on the battlefield, so we'll get an extra Factor Fiction pile going. A Meat Boy Changeling, that is definitely good. And Universal Automaton, oh, yes. So with the Universal Automaton, it is a Changeling. It is a, it's a free spell, so we're going to definitely grab pile 1. We're going to go for Universal Automaton. And this is just a free Factor Fiction at this point right now. I was going to go for Time Twister, but I think we can just slowly build up a really nice... Well, there's a Timsis. So we're going to try to find ourselves in a Timsis. But once you get like 5 Factor Fiction piles going, as an opponent, it's just very deflating. I've played against Unesh. Unesh is, it can hold its own at a multiplayer table, but when you're playing 1 versus 1, there's just a lot of times where you're just... Okay. All right, so we're going to go for... And let's go for a Timsis. I think that would be... And we've actually run out of mana now. Because I forgot that these don't tap down. So Timsis... Yeah, let's go for a Timsis, because that'll be fun to go for an Timsis win. Okay, so we're going to have a Timsis enter the battlefield. That's the last option we're going to go for. We've got 1, and then we've got 3, 4... So we need to get a few more piles into our hand. If we end up taking, we're actually okay on 4. So at this point, if we're trying to go for the Timsis win, we need to grab something like Clever Impersonator, because we've already got 1 and we've already got 3. So we're going to choose pile 1. That's going to go into the hand. We can't go for Thought Vessel. All right, then anything else, we're going to go and pass the turn. Huge, huge shout out to our opponent for sticking that turn out. That was a that's a pretty rough turn sometimes. We're going to get rid of Island. We're going to get rid of Island, and we're definitely going to hold on to Rogue's Passage because that's going to make this win maybe a little bit better. And we've got a lot of blue mana, so I think we just get rid of Island again. And we'll get rid of Thought Vessel. There we go. All right, so we've got a lot of stuff. Unfortunately, we didn't run into something like Force of Will, Force of Negation. So we are open to a board wipe if our opponent gets that down, but we've got a ton of mana that we can rebound from. And with our opponent not scooping, it makes me wonder if they do have a board wipe. So we'll see. Maybe we should have left up Stubborn Denial. But once we hit attempts, there we go. Wrath of God. Okay. Well, that happens. As soon as that, there's also sometimes when you start driving the value trade, you're like, oh yeah, let's just keep this going. We can't be stopped. And you just don't have the brakes on the value train sometimes, and it feels good to do that. So anyway, we'll rebound with Unesh. We're going to choose Tails on this Mana Crypt trigger, and lost the flip. We were 0 for 3 on those Mana Crypt triggers. Very brutal. Let's get Unesh pop back up. And once again, I think what we need to end up doing, we can always go for Time Twister to kind of reset. So I think I kind of like leaving up, yeah, we'll end up doing for that. So we'll go for Unesh, and then we go Amiiboy Changeling, Prognostic Sphinx. Well, that'll really help with us going for the Monoliths untap next turn. So we'll have Island enter the battlefield. Yeah, because Unesh is going to cost a pretty good chunk, so we're simply just going to go and pass the turn. Stubborn Denial, we don't really have a super active Stubborn Denial, but we can catch some stuff with it if our opponent taps out for it. And worst case scenario, we end up going for Time Twister. Now with Time Twister, that kind of does two different things. Once we finally get Unesh on the battlefield, that's going to be 6, 8, 10. That's going to be 10 total mana. So 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That still gives us about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 with Ancient Tomb. That still gives us about 8 mana to work with. So you can see we're just getting down to Amiiboy Changeling as one of the mana of the 8. That's going to allow us to factor Fiction. We can always Clever Impersonator, especially if our opponent gets down something really nice. So that's something we can also go for. All right, so Rafik of the Mini. And they're going to go for the Uwazama's Jitte onto Rafik. So whenever a creature you control attacks alone, it needs double strike. So we don't really want that Jitte to stick around. That is not something that we really want to happen. So let's go for the Monolith untap. I'm going to try to jam another option. That's going to be 1, 2, 3. Okay. And then nothing we need to do at instant speed. So let's go kick back over to our turn. Let's go and choose Tails on this Mana Crypt trigger. Yeah, we totally should have left up Stubborn Denial. We're 0 for 4 of those Mana Crypt triggers, but it's like, 100%. It's like a little kid when you play this stack. Like if you're jamming 4 or 5 Factor Fiction piles, you just lose sight of what's a Magic game anymore. It's kind of like you just have cheat mode on in Mario. That's the best way to put it. All right, so Ancient Tomb. Yeah, let's still go Unesh. We can dodge. Luckily, with a lot of these Sphinxes, even if they get a couple Uwazama Jitte triggers, that will allow them to kind of stop what we've got going on. But I still like going for Unesh. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3. Completely negating the commander attacks at this point right now. So we're going to have Unesh enter the battlefield. Let's see what we can get into. I'm kind of hesitant to go for Time Twister just because they might get something pretty... Ooh, Panharmonicon. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4... And then Amiiboy changed. Yeah, that's pretty good. All right, so I'm probably going to grab Panharmonicon on this one because really we need to get some sort of instant speed action that at least we can exile out of our hand. That would be a really good thing for us. So probably going to take Pile 2. Let's see how they decide to split it up. Oh, that's beautiful. We'll take it. We're going to take Panharmonicon. Yeah, I guess just leave it all on the battlefield. We're going to go Panharmonicon. We'll have that enter the battlefield. We'll go for Amiiboy Changeling just for 1 blue mana. And that's going to be Factor Fiction. Oh, look at that. Now, even if we don't win, I want to win very bad. Oh, the Prison in the Moon. That is exactly what we needed. Because what we can do is we can Imprison in the Moon on Uwazama's Jitte. And that'll be great. So let's get another Factor Fiction pile. And luckily with Time Twister, this deck did not have breaks for a very long time. And we had no way to shuffle our graveyard back into our library. So Time Twister is the safety valve for this deck. I think at this point, we're going to choose Pile 2 because that's going to give us an option to win. And I think we go for Imprison in the Moon. Yeah, we need to go for Imprison. We want to stop that Jitte. So we're going to go for Imprison in the Moon. If they've got counter magic, they've got it. Oh, there we go. All right, so we're going to take care of Rafik of the Mini, and then anything else pass the turn to our opponent. So we will basically discard down to hand size. I still like Rogue's Passage on this, so we can still end up going Rogue's Passage. We'll get rid of Island, and I think if we want to get some really good value going, one thing that we can do is we can have Clever Impersonator enter the battlefield as a copy of Unesh that will kill it because of the legendary rule. But what we can do is that'll be like 4-factor fictions, and that'll be pretty good. Now we do need to close the game out at some point, so that's something we do need to watch out for. But they're going to go Vampiric Tutor, so that's probably going to be a board wipe. If that ends up being a board wipe, that'll probably be us going for Time Twister. That way we can just kind of reset on our graveyard, because that's the other thing. Look at the Unesh value train. Our opponent's sitting at 80 cards in their library. We're at 44 cards. We've almost gone through half of our library. We've seen 40 more cards than our opponent. And that's what makes this deck so much fun to pilot. So this is definitely, if you're ever on the fence about building Unesh, this is one of those decks that it's about the ride. It's about the ride on the value train. Even if we don't win today, we want to win. We've set ourselves up to win. We should win. If we've seen 40 more cards than our opponent, we should win. I want to win. But if we don't, the ride getting to there was so much fun. Getting to just dig 40 cards deeper into your library is one of the best feelings in the world. So let's go and discard Island, and that's what makes this deck so much fun. Is even if we don't win, and that's one of the fun ways to approach Commander sometimes, is that just build decks in a manner that as long as you have a fun ride getting there, that's what matters. So let's go to make Ramos just a little bit of a baby dragon right now. That way we can kind of check out what's going on with the board state. And that's going to be 1, 2, 3. Probably, if they went Vampiric Tutor, probably looking at some sort of board wipe again. But even if that happens, it's not the end of the world. Now we've got to the point to where Unesh, even though Unesh is a little banged up, we've had to call our insurance. Ooh. Okay, we've got Nicol Bolas Planeswalker. Now what we can do is we've got some options. So we've got Cryptic Command. We can bounce that back to the hand. That puts us on going for Stubborn Denial if we have, and they're going to gain control of Unesh, which I think that's okay. We can just have Clever Impersonator enters a copy of it, and then we can always bounce Cryptic back to our hand. Yeah, I think that's fine. So they're going to go for the Uzama's Jitte equip onto Unesh with Nicol Bolas on the battlefield. Actually, if we want to, we can just Clever Impersonator as a copy of Nicol Bolas, and it just +3. Okay, so we've got some things that we can do. We'll figure out how we want to sequence this, because I don't really like our opponent having Unesh on that side of the battlefield. So we're going to go and choose Tails on this Mana Crypt trigger. Oh man, we are 0 for 5 on those Mana Crypt triggers. We're going to lose because of Mana Crypt triggers. That's not going to be a lot of fun. So let's see, what do we do about this? So we Cryptic Command on Unesh. It's going to bring it back to our hand. Yeah, and I think I kind of like that. So let's do this. So we're going to go for Clever Impersonator. So we're going to bounce Unesh back to our hand with Cryptic Command. And that way we can also dodge the Commander attack too. So we're going to bounce that back to our hand, draw a card. It's going to send it back. We'll make the land drop. We're going to have Clever Impersonator into the battlefield as a copy of Nicol Bolas. There we go. We're going to go for the +3. We're going to destroy Nicol Bolas. And at this point, we can basically just keep... All right, opponent's going to scoop it up. That's going to be enough for them. What's going to end up happening the way this game plays out, they have no card advantage. As much as I don't want to go for Time Twister, we're going to be able to go for not Cyclonic Rift, but we can go for Mystical Tutor. Probably ended up going Time Twister to shuffle Cyclonic Rift back to our hand, and then that would have allowed us to go for... well, actually, we can't bounce it back with Mana Crypt, so we would have had to have some way to deal with Mana Crypt, because we are getting down to a really low life total. But at this point, with us having an access to Nicol Bolas for that +3 ability, we can start targeting Uzama's Jitte. We can start targeting their lands. Huge shout out to our opponent. If you see this video, thank you very much for sticking this video out. There's a lot of times where you go for just simply more than one factor fiction in a turn, and that's enough to kind of bounce back from. But you can see we're just simply having Time Twister. And also, if you're on the fence about joining Magic Online, Time Twister is only like $1 on Magic Online. So if you want to play Time Twister, hey, hop onto Magic Online. It's a fun card to play. We just hit the reset button with Time Twister, and this value train keeps going because we've got monoliths on the battlefield, we got mana crypts. Eventually, we'll start not getting hit with mana crypt triggers. But yeah. Anyway, long story short, if you enjoyed your time on the value train, hey, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.